Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. Now, this video is going to be a little bit all over the place. I came out here last night, late afternoon. I had dinner, cooking and everything else to do a bit of a video because it's been a week since I've done a video. Just a bit of a catch up and, you know, discussions of stuff and things like that. Except that I was obviously pretty tired and distracted, and when I went to listen back to it, it was really all over the place, and I didn't talk about some of the stuff that I had meant to talk about and things like that. So I'm going to record this other little section and then I'm going to intertwine it with, because I did a bit of a garden tour as well in the yesterday's one, which I'm going to use because I'm not going to do it again, and we're just going to see how this all pieces together because what I had recorded last night just it wasn't going to work. So I'm just gonna start off in a little bit of a better mind space and basically redo a lot of this talk that I had there, and hopefully I can sync it all up. So the reason for this video was because it's, as I said, it's been a week since I put a video out. I sort of said in the last video, anyone who watched it, that I was having a bit of trouble getting back into the flow of things after Christmas. I was tired, I wasn't feeling great, and there was just a lot of about it all. So I've been spending a lot of time doing some of my art. I'll put some pictures up for you because Darryl wants some character items for his Dungeons and Dragons stuff. He will use them to sell token packs and things like that, and it'll become a bit of a joint thing for the pair of us, and more drawing experience is great for me. So someone giving me a topic of what they want drawn and then me having to figure it out and create it is not necessarily a bad thing for me, because it gives me something to focus on, practice my skills, and pushes me a little bit. So that's what I've been doing, because Darryl got me the new iPad for Christmas, so it's been really great using that with the new pen and all that sort of stuff. So I've been doing a lot of drawing, and I felt guilty every time I did it because I was sitting there doing something that wasn't as useful as I felt like I should have been. But everyone needs downtime, and for me that was the downtime that I was using for this week. I've been watching a lot of other people's YouTube and watching a lot of scanning through Instagram and all the rest of it. Every time I sit down to eat a meal, I tend to flick through my phone, lunches and stuff, because I sit at my desk for eating them. It's to do with our table situation and stuff. We'll figure that out eventually, but generally speaking, I sit at my desk for it. And a lot of people have been talking about doing resets. Now, for me, I'm not really into the whole gimmick of things like resets and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's resonating a little bit this year. I've had a couple of weeks of real downtime of not getting what I really wanted to get done because I couldn't get past my own procrastination. I was in a bit of a spiral of I couldn't do this because I couldn't feel like it, couldn't be bothered doing this, and then when I didn't do this, I couldn't do this, and it was all just, it was unpleasant. So I've had a couple of weeks of that, and I'm trying to come out the other side of it. I have discussed before that when you do videos on a regular basis, you get into the routine of doing them, and then when you have a break, sometimes it's really hard to get back into that routine, because it is work. As much as I enjoy YouTube, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the community and everything else over the past couple of years, it's still work. It still requires time and things like that. And as I was just discussing with someone in the comments of an older video, time is something that I have a lot of because of our lifestyle, but I also find a lot of ways to use it. So the discussion that we just had was about the monthly groceries and things like that, and I sort of broke it down, and like, on an average day of food, even just for simple meals for us, it can still take me an hour and a half per meal of hands-on time. And that's a fair amount of time taken out of the day just for your basic meals every day. Of course, there's some shorter ones, and that's why I do more prep. So there's, if there's frozen stuff in the freezer that I can just throw in the oven and things like that, that might only be a 15-minute meal. But a lot of the time, the meals that I cook take an hour and a half. So that's, 3 hours out of 12 hours of daylight already gone, along with everything else, which is, supervising the kids and all that sort of thing. So scheduling my tasks a little bit better and working out what I can get done in each day is going to be something moving forward. And as I said, I'm not really into the gimmick of it all, but this whole reset thing is resonating a little bit this year. So what I did over this couple of weeks, over the last week as well, while I haven't been putting videos out, is I cleared my entire desk space. I got myself a new shelf for my monitor so that I could try starting to keep things off the actual surface of my desk. My desk becomes a dumping ground because the kids bring me stuff and I put it down. I keep all the paperwork there as well, anything that comes in the mail. I've got all the cards, all the Christmas cards from any viewers that's still in a pile for the kids to do thank you cards for, which will be one of their school tasks during the week and things like that. So it becomes a bit of a dumping ground. I needed to organise it better because it was driving me nuts. The clutter was getting to me. So I have fixed the clutter of that. I've got a little bit of footage here that I took once I did it of the new monitor. Now, the new monitor shelf, unfortunately, is not going to work. The monitor's too high. I can't get my chair high enough for it to work. So when I'm sitting there to look at the top of the screen, I've got to tilt my neck up and it's not going to work. So unfortunately, it's not going to be a long-term solution. I'm going to have to revisit that, maybe get an arm for my monitor or something, I don't know, but it was nice to have done it anyway. Though I don't show you behind me, which is the sewing table, which I cleared of the puzzle that we'd been done. I got a photo here. We did a puzzle over Christmas, so I cleared that, pulled that apart, put that away, and then covered the desk with other bits of stuff, trying to reorganize. So I've emptied some of the crates of fabric into my shelves so that I can see the fabric now and get the crates out of the way. But I'm reorganizing, a bit of a declutter, a bit of a reorganize, which I do after every Christmas anyway with the kids, because we want to get rid of any packaging from stuff that they received that we don't need to keep, and a lot of excess stuff that they don't need anymore, it's been replaced or whatever. And then we do it at change of season and all those sorts of things. But I don't normally do what everyone refers to as a sort of a New Year's reset, and I kind of have this year. I kind of want to start things off a little bit more purposeful, with a little bit more mindful. So I've squirreled. Hopefully it's it's squirrel with clarity rather than squirrel with whatever last night's video ended up being. The other thing, so I don't know where I was going, of course, because that's what happens when you squirrel, and I have to come back and edit it, and sometimes I have to sit there and go, that really doesn't flow on very well, but this is what you get from me, and that's what you're used to. So the other thing I was going to talk about that I forgot to talk about on the video last night is that a lot of people use the beginning of the year to do a pantry challenge as well. Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead hosts a pantry challenge that I click into every now and again, and there's a whole bunch of other channels doing it as well this year. Now I feel like I do a pantry challenge every shop. I don't feel like I have to do one specifically. But I did clean out the freezer, and I wanted to give you a quick glimpse of that because someone asked about it. So when we bought the new freezer in the last shopping trip, I emptied the small freezer just straight into the old freezer and got rid of the old freezer. We actually gave that to a guy who lives local, and I hadn't done anything about reorganizing that freezer yet. So I've got a quick clip here. Darryl and I pulled everything out, scraped it down, and resorted everything into crates so that I could see what I have for inventory purposes for shopping as well. So each month, I pretty much do that though, each month. I pull everything out and inventory it and put it back and know what I've got to use. This month is going to be a bit of a tight month, this shopping period. I go shopping on the 24th, I think it is, I leave. So just over 2 weeks I leave, and it's going to be a little tight for the next couple of weeks, money wise because Christmas, and food wise because we seem to have overindulged a little bit over Christmas and eaten into our stores a little bit, or eaten things fresh more than preserving it and things like that, which is fine. We've got plenty of food, but it's going to be a little bit like a pantry challenge, and I have been recording every meal over the last week or whatever to do as sort of our meals of the week thing. So I have been recording that, and I will get that up late in the week or whenever I've got a week's worth, and I might continue to do that if I'm not doing a whole lot of meal prep, which I'm not. Like, I've got a couple of videos, I've done the voiceovers for the food prep for the few days before Christmas and I've got the voiceovers done. That's one of those things that I have not come out here to end up doing, so I will do that as well and share those, which was my trifles and some of the meat, potato salads and seafood salads and things like that I got done. So I've got all that to share as well. But over the next couple of weeks, there's not going to be a whole lot of food prep. I do need to can the caramelized onion jam. I do have a video of that from a while ago, but I could probably do a new one up, an updated one, because I've got 20 kilos of onions that I need to get through. And I also need to can black beans, which I think I did partial video for last time, but maybe I'll do a start to finish of the way that we're canning black beans, because we really enjoyed them. We're completely out. I bought 5 kilos, badly need to can them. So those 2 projects are on the cards for the next 2 weeks, but other than that, most of our food has been dealt with. It's either frozen, and I froze a lot more than I normally would because we had the new chest freezer and it was Christmas, or it's already been preserved and either is in those food prep videos that I'll show you, or I didn't film it because it was just a really messy sort of a period. It was Christmas and stuff. So all that to say, I've lost myself again, haven't I? And this video is like gonna end up blown out to all proportions. Maybe I should have stuck with the shorter but all over the place one from last night. Anyway, so yes. So we're going into we're coming into the next 2 weeks of January and the beginning of the year, and I'm going to try and set some goals for myself, but loose goals because, you know, and that's what I was talking about, the pantry challenge. So one of the things is that, you know, it's suggested that I do the pantry challenge, and a lot of people are doing the pantry challenge. Most of these people did an extra shop just before they start the pantry challenge, which to me defeats the purpose. So if you're going to do an extra shop the week before you start a pantry challenge and buy more product than you would normally buy so that you can get through a pantry challenge, it's not really a pantry challenge. So each to their own, but that's how I kind of look at it. So for me, I basically do a pantry challenge every 6 weeks, because at that last week, it's going through everything that's in the shelves, using what needs to be used, assessing what we've got, portioning it out appropriately, and inventorying for the next one. I don't want to leave... I feel like with our food stores at the moment that we probably could get away with, like, my plan is to shop every 6 weeks, and we could probably get away with 10 or 12 if we really had to push it. It would be a challenge, but we could do it. Food would get very monotonous, but we could do it. But even the 6 weeks is sometimes a stretch, because I try to stay in a budget, which means that you're still restricting your food to a degree of what you can buy, and then you have to stay within those guidelines. This shop, I'm going to really try and stay in budget because, again, it's January. We've had a lean month. I don't get typing work over Christmas either, so I miss a pay for typing work over Christmas because they close down. So I won't get that. The rates of pay for YouTube are drastically reduced in January. It's not paid till February, but that's going to leave it lean then. December is a little bit reduced as well. So the ad rates for the way you get paid through YouTube is through the ads, and the ad rates work as a dollar per 1,000 views, basically. So it's approximately how many ads get watched per 1,000 views, and then you get paid accordingly. November is one of the biggest months of the year. A lot of people are paying for ads because it's in the lead up to Christmas. So the dollar rate per 1,000 in November is like, for me, it varies for everybody because there's all different niches, different and all that sort of thing. For me, it was about $24 per 1,000 in Australian dollars, and December was about 20, I think, and January is sitting at like $9.80. $10, which means that even if I was putting out as many videos as normal, my income would be halved for January, which gets paid in February. But I have put next to no videos out as well, so again, it's going to be even lower than that. So I have to budget that in as well, and I know now to plan that into the budget ahead of time. So I have a running budget for until the end of the financial year, which for us is the 30th of June in Australia, and then I will have another 12-month one that follows on, that has all the projected costs of, you know, animal feed and gas and water costs and medical costs and food and everything else gets all projected out for 12 months as well, and then all the incidentals get put on, and it's got a running total so that I can make sure that there's enough money everywhere. So I have to remember that for next year, that's the way, that's how significant that changes as well. But for the moment, it's going to leave us pretty lean for January, February, which is fine. That's why we eat and shop the way we do, so that we have the ability to deal with that kind of slim pickings at that time of year. And I lost my spot again, didn't I? So I think I'm coming back to the pantry challenge. So I basically feel like I do a pantry challenge every shop, and it will be a little bit more closer to a pantry challenge for the next couple of months, but I'm not going to say that I'm specifically doing it. It just doesn't, it's not quite the way we exist. We do not put enough up on the shelves to live off our shelves. We do not have the capacity for that, and we don't have the storage for that either. And because we don't raise the majority of our own meat and things like that, we're always going to, well, for the moment, we're going to rely on it. The idea is to eventually get a sow and have piglets and get piglets processed on the property as well. But we will never do beef. We do not have pasture, and the cost of feeding cows when you don't have any pasture it's not worth it. I am much better off purchasing the beef trim from Costco, and it means that we're only getting that one style of meat, of beef, and the occasional steak that we buy, but it works. Cost-wise, it's definitely more efficient. We don't use a lot of dairy, so we don't need milk cows either. As much as it would be lovely to have them, it's unnecessary. We did consider goats. We could have goats and use them for milk, but they require some significant infrastructure of fencing, and we're not there yet. So pigs might be something that we can move on in the next couple of years. We just need to get a sow. We need to extend we'd like to move the pig pens are out the front here behind me, and we'd like to move them out the back somewhat near where the chicken pens are, but moving the pigs that distance is a bit of a challenge. So, and we can't pull that pig pen down until we build the next one, so we'd need the resources to build the new one before that. So anyway, we obviously are not getting enough vegetables and fruit at all. The orchard is doing okay, but not fantastic. It's going to be a few years before that really gives me anything, if it gives me anything in our climate. And the vegetable gardens and stuff we've improved from last year, but I hope for tenfold improvement next year. So we will see how that goes. So yeah, we can't put enough up on the shelves to sustain us in a way that we can say, well, this month we won't buy any groceries and we'll live off our shelves. Though in the scope of looking at everyone else's pantry challenges, that's not what they do either. They still shop. They just don't go to the shop during the pantry challenge, which we already don't do. So as I said, I feel like we're doing a pantry challenge every month. Okay, off that topic, my little soapbox there. What was the other thing? The other thing I was going to say is that because we're starting fresh, I'm going to try and do posting on Instagram and Facebook at least daily if I can. I have this whole problem with the mindset of Instagram and stuff. Back when I started Instagram years and years ago, when I first looked at building a bit of a social profile, it was before we moved out here, and then just when we first moved out here, it was really about the aesthetics of the of your Instagram profile had to be right. You had to have this aesthetic where it was all integrated and it was all beautiful and everything else. And I know that things have moved on from there, and that real life really makes a difference now too. But the reels are a big thing now, and I'm not very good at short form video, as you can tell, because we're like 18 minutes in and this was supposed to be a quick video. But anyway, so I'm going to try and remind myself that it doesn't have to be perfect, that the images that I'm sharing on Instagram and Facebook don't have to be perfect, because obviously my videos are not perfect. Like, look at me. So the footage on Instagram and Facebook don't have to be perfect. I just need to share. The other thing is the website. I got it going. I got a couple of recipes up, and then so my goal is going to be to at least get 2 recipes up per month. I'm going to try and give myself that as a push to try and get at least 2 recipes up per month and get that sorted. Artwork wise, with the cups and the mugs and all that sort of thing, I'm going to just keep on plodding along with that. I've got no set timelines on that, because art is art and I want it to be right. So, because I'd really like to do some shirts and things like that. I'd really like Earl, my It Is What It Is, on a shirt. So I'm going to order that and put it on a shirt of mine and see how I go and things like that, because I can order it as a direct to film transfer and I can just heat press it myself. So it's cheaper for me to create the art, get someone else to print the film, and then I just have a selection of the films and I can put them on shirts. I can always do it through a third party as well if I decide to, especially for international. But at the moment, I like the idea of the hands-on. My art is about having my fingers in the pies because that's an outlet. And if I'm just making it a business, then that's not really what I want either. I still want to be involved in it and keep it small scale and simple and limited release and things like that, because I want to be doing it as part of my outlets of things to do. I have a couple of videos coming up this week. Hopefully I'll get them done that are sponsored videos. So I mentioned to you guys that that Jackery reached out. So we got our Jackery last week and we've been playing with it and figuring out how it's going to work best for us, and trying to put some video footage together to introduce it and things like that as per what is required for the gifting of the unit to us. So it has to be within certain scope, and they were very clear on the fact that they want it to be a natural video, that these videos aren't review videos, they're videos of how we use it in real life. The problem is that these are aimed at more travel enthusiasts and things like that, and we're using it in a static position, so it's a little bit different to the average user of it, and we're figuring out how it's going to work for us. So we're going to share all that, and we're going to share multiple videos of how we're using it. Do you know what I'm really looking forward to? We're going to buy a vacuum cleaner. We have a vacuum cleaner, but it's a battery operated one and it sucks. So I'm going to get a powered one and then I can run it on the Jackery. The other thing we're looking at is getting a pressure washer so that we have rugs all over the floors because they're just wooden floors, and in winter it's freezing. So we have these rugs and they're huge, and we pull them out and we beat them at the end of every summer before winter. But it's, you know, we're going to pressure wash them. So, but we haven't been able to run a pressure washer because it means running the water pump as well as the pressure washer on the inverter that also has everything else running on it, and hasn't worked for us. So now we've got the Jackery, we'll be able to do that. We're also going to use it for water transfer and stuff like that. So all of that's coming along as well. We also got gifted some KiwiCo boxes. So KiwiCo is a project-based box set, comes in different age ranges, and you can get them on a monthly subscription. And we used to get them when the small kids were too small for them, for the bigger kids when we lived metro, and we haven't got them in ages because it's a little expensive for 6 kids in our current budget, but they gifted us 6 boxes for the kids, so we're going to start them off this week because we're starting back on sort of schooling this week, so that's going to be a good, you know, first point back into schooling for this week. So those videos are coming as well as the food videos from just before Christmas that I haven't got out yet. So they will come as well. So the plan is to try and still stick to the 3 or 4 videos a week, and try and figure out how that's going to work long term. I don't want to set specific days for videos because that's not going to work for me, but still 3 or 4 a week is the goal. It works well for the algorithm and for earnings, but it's also just beneficial for you guys as well, for me to figure that out. So we'll get that done, and try and get the website done, try and get Facebook and Instagram a little bit more active, things like that, because as much as I enjoy doing it and as much as I try and keep, you know, positive about it all and everything else, it's still a business, and I still have to try and remember that if I don't do it, I don't earn either, and earning from YouTube helps me to improve the garden, to improve the infrastructure of the property and things like that. So I think I've covered everything I needed to cover, and the stuff that I missed on the previous one, and I probably won't put any of the talking of the other one in now because I've just doubled over everything. But I am going to share the clip from yesterday of the garden. Now the garden's pretty disappointing, don't get too excited about it, but I'm going to add that in here so that you can see where we're at, and what's going on there, and then hopefully there's a decent sort of a outro on that as well. But if not, I might just quickly film something here. Why not? I turn this off and film a quick outro in case I leave it off in somewhere really odd, because I was listening back to it last night and it really wasn't working. So, you know. So anyway, here's the garden tour. I also need to start new seedlings for autumn veggies in the next couple of weeks. So I need to start some trays of beetroot, some cabbage and things like that. But in saying that, you can see behind me, the garden's is still struggling. So I haven't done a garden tour in a couple of weeks, and I was hoping to do these weekly garden tours and have all this success and all this to show you. And I've walked out here. It's not watering day, so everything's a little bit flat. I water in the morning, but nothing's surviving. Nothing is flourishing. I just noticed too that, so I picked some tomatoes, and let me turn you around. I picked some cherry tomatoes, and I've got some lovely cherry tomatoes scattered around, some Tommy Toes and some Sun Golds and some other little cherry tomatoes. I'm on the wrong side of the fence here, I've just dropped one. So I'm picking these cherry tomatoes are doing okay. A couple of these have been really stunted, but we're getting handfuls of them, nothing significant, especially not for the amount of work that has gone into doing this. I picked these ones. These are all I'm getting off my Brandywines. These little tiny cherry tomatoes, basically. I picked them when they're blushing because otherwise the rats get to them. And we got a couple of, I must have missed that one, a couple of cucumbers and stuff here. We do have some trusses of tomatoes that are, you know, doing okay, but nothing significant, and nothing is doing well. And then I just noticed too that we must have some rats in the garden again, because this Kajari melon that I've been watching has been chewed and now covered in ants. And these paprikas that I have been watching, again, look, I'm so sad. So there's one here that hasn't been gnawed on that I'm going to pick, but look at them all being chewed on. Like, I just can't win, I tell ya. This one's been toppled and all the fruit chewed off. And so the paste tomatoes are just not doing anything. And then all the fresh, look at all the gorgeous fruit that I was trying so hard to cultivate with these, gone. Blossom end rot on all the paste tomatoes, and the plants are just dying off, and they shouldn't be at this time of year. They should still have more. Heaps of silver beet. That's great. And as I said, some of these cherry tomatoes, we're getting some good, couple of handfuls of these, which is really lovely, but just not, you know. Have some of these solar flare tomatoes, but again, they're not getting a significant size, and a couple of the black beauties, but they're not, they're just, yeah, anyway. So the garden is just a bit of a write-off, to be honest. I have just decided that I will come out here and enjoy relaxing and watering and try not to overanalyze the lack of food, enjoy the handful of garden snacks, enjoy the silver beet. I've been harvesting lots of basil and using that in a lot of things, but enjoy some of the pretty flowers, though there isn't even many of those, but have some marigolds there. There's a couple of zinnias over on the other side. There's a few tomatoes that look like they could be promising here, but So, and then and the grass with the rain, the overgrown paths, it's just horrific. You know, can't get enough rain to grow anything, but the rain, I left these two basils here in full flower. I'll put a quick clip in here. I took a photo the other day of the native bees, absolutely adore them. But what I wanted to show you was that there's a couple of watermelons, like this one here, that's hanging off the netting there. I don't know why that yellow tie's on it. I'm guessing a child did it. And so there's a couple of watermelons around, but not huge amounts. And some of the plants aren't doing well even in the wicking beds. Like this one looks like it's lack of water, but it's in a wicking bed. So a couple of the pumpkins died off as well, again in wicking beds, and yet we've had pumpkins just do nothing. And I thought that the pumpkins at least were a sure sort of a thing. We've got a couple of small ones here, which at least gives me the opportunity to try these pumpkins. The tendrils are pretty much dead, stems not quite, but I won't be storing them, I'll be eating them fresh, so we'll probably pick them shortly just so that nothing else can get them. And then, yeah, like I got a couple of zinnias, but most of them doing nothing. Some cornflowers, hopefully, that will continue to go. And these Brandywine tomato plants, which looking okay, but as I said, haven't watered today and it's been really hot. So, and the strawberries never came up. So, you know, so all my plans to show off my garden this year, after spending a lot of money and time, have all come to nothing. But hopefully next year will improve. Hopefully next year the issues with the mushroom compost and all that will be gone by then. And even the autumn garden, we're going to have to buy some soil and top these up. These have sunk quite a lot, and by introducing some new soil, that will help to dilute the mushroom compost as well. And then the other thing is the irrigation. Not having the irrigation put in before summer hit was a big fail on our behalf. I don't know. I've had successful gardens before, and I found some more tomatoes. And the successful gardens that I've had, I hand watered. So it shouldn't just be the water. It's just a combination of a lot of things, I think. The weather this year, everyone in the comments always says that they're having a whole lot of trouble too. So I think it's just a combination of the weather, the mushroom compost, there's fires. I don't know. It's all just a bit sad. But anyway, so my weekly garden videos that I was so excited about, and weighing all my produce and all that, is pointless this year. So I will continue to share. I've stripped out some garden beds, and I'm going to top them up and then look at getting the irrigation put in those beds while they're empty, because that will make it nice and easy. And then I can direct seed some things. I'll start some onions and all that sort of stuff up that can overwinter. I'll look at planting some garlic maybe as well. With all that mushroom compost and that rich soil, the garlic probably really enjoy that. So we will just plod along with it, but it's been very disappointing. So thank you for sticking with me through this all over the place, rambling, squirreling video. This is why I need to do more too. Like, if I did them more often, maybe I could cover these topics in different things. I don't know, these talking head videos, a lot of people don't like talking head videos, but maybe I need to do it more regularly. Maybe I need to figure out doing these as part of my weekly 3 or 4 videos. Maybe I need to do a talking head video each week to try and cover some of this stuff, or answer specific questions, like, you know, start covering more about the monthly groceries. So I'm not sure. Give me some feedback in the comments of what you think about it. I'm just trying to assess how I'm moving forward this year and what works. Obviously there was supposed to be a lot of garden content, and there hasn't been because the garden sucked, basically. But there's still going to be garden content ongoing, and I'm hoping that everything improves. So there should be more garden content as we go. But I feel so uninformed and like such a failure with it all that I don't feel like I can share the way I do anything, because nothing's working, if that makes sense. So garden content has backed off a little bit. I could add a bit more art content in, perhaps. We'll see how we go with that. But obviously the content on this channel is just our lives here off grid and how we make it work. A lot of that ends up being kitchen and food content, which everyone loves, and my kitchen and food content gets the most views, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to make some other content. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to do other things to make it more enjoyable for me, and potentially appealing for other people within the channel and things like that. So you'll have to bear with me with angles that the food video, the what we eat in a week, will come out, but I still haven't replaced my tripod. I'll order that this week. As I said, we're a bit short post-Christmas, so I just hadn't done it yet, but I will sort it out this week, and that will help with angles on food, but they're a bit shocking at the moment, and I'm actually using my phone on the little mini tripod on a table here, so the angle's not perfect, and I think it's very glary, but I can't see the screen real well, and it is what it is. I would like to improve my filming quality over this year as well. That is something that I'm pushing towards. If we can get this infrastructure for the kitchen up, then I can change the anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. So thank you for joining me again, guys, and I appreciate each and every one of you who views these, and especially those who view them all the way to the end, because yeah, I don't know if I could stick out with me all the way to the end. And I'll see you on the next video, hopefully not too far away.